Good evening, sir. I am Roldan Garcia Padires, second year taking a course of Bachelor in Science in Forestry, major in Agroforestry. I was born and raised in Barangay Diplahan, Zamboanga, Sibugay, and I am pure Ilonggo. The enactment of PD 705 was based on the following reasons. 1. Urgent need for proper classifications, management, and utilizations of the lands of the public domain to maximize their productivity to meet the demands of our increasing population. 2. The necessity to assess the multiple uses of forest lands and resources before allowing any utilizations, therefore, in order to attain the optimal benefits that can be derived therefrom. 3. The imperative needs for the government to place emphasis not only on the utilizations but also on the protection, rehabilitations, and development of forest lands in order to ensure sustainability of the productive conditions of our forest resources. 4. The present law and regulations governing forest lands are not responsible enough to support reoriented government programs, project efforts on the proper classifications and eliminations of lands of the public domain and the management, utilizations, protections, rehabilitations, and developments of forest lands. In order to ensure this, every steps taken by the government is in line with the foregoing principles. The state shall be guided by the following policies. 1. The multiple uses of forest lands shall be oriented to the developments and progress requirement of the country, the advancement of science and technology, and the public welfare. 2. Lands classifications and surveys shall be systematized and hastened. 3. The establishments of food processing plants shall be encouraged and rationalized. And 4. The protections, development, and rehabilitations of forest lands shall be emphasized so as to ensure their continuity and productive condition. Section 3 of PD 705 was already amended by PD 1559. This section refers to the technical and operational definitions of terms used in the code. Some of the terms defined under these sections are as follows. 1. Agroforestry. A sustainable management for lands which increase overall productions, combination agricultural crops, aerial crops, and forest plants and or animals, simultaneously or sequentially, and applied management practices which are compatible with the cultural patterns of the local populations. 2. Alienable and disposable lands refers to those lands in the public domain which have been the subjects of the present systems as classifications and declared as not needed for forest purposes. 3. Annual allowable cut the volume of materials, whether woods or other forest products, that is authorized to be cut yearly from a forest. 4. Critical watershed refers to the damaged area of water system supporting existing and proposed hydroelectric power, irrigation works, or domestic water facilities needing immediate protections or rehabilitations. 5. Cutting cycle. The number of years between two major harvests in the same working unit and or region. 6. Dipterocarps forest. A forest dominated by trees is Dipterocarps species such as mayapis, tanggil, red, lawaan, bagtikan, yakal, apitong, and etc. 7 is forest ecosystem. Refers to the living and non-living components of a forest and their interrelationship. 8. Forest lands. Includes public forest, permanent forest, forest reserves, and forest reservation. 9. Forest products. Means timber, pulpwoods, bark, trees, resin, gum, wood, oil, honey, beeswax, nipa, rattan, or other forest growths such as grass, scrub, and flowering plants. The associated water, fish, game scenic, historical, recreational, and geologic resources and forest land. 10. Forest officer means any officials or employee of the bureau, bureau who has been appointed or delegated by law or by component authority to execute, implement, or enforce the provisions of this code, other related laws, as well as their implementing regulations. 11. Forest reservations refers to forest lands which have been reserved by the presidents of the Philippines for any specific purpose or purposes. 9. 12. Game refuge or bird sanctuary refers to a forest land designated for the protections of marine animals, bird, and fish, and close to hunting and fishing in order that the excess populations may allow and test stock surrounding areas. 13. Grazing lands refers to the portions of the public domain which has been set aside in view of the sustainability of its topography and vegetations for their raising. 14. Healthy residual refers to a sounds of slightly injured commercial species after logging. Industrial 15. Industrial tree plantations refers to any forest lands extensively planted in crops intended primarily to supply the raw materials requirements of existing or purpose wood processing plant and related industries. 16. Kaingin refers to a portions of the forest lands which is subjected to shining and or permanent slash and burn cultivation. 17. Lease a privilege granted by the state to a person to occupy and possess in considerations of specified rental any forest lands of the public domain in order to undertake any authorized activity therein. 18. License refers to the privilege granted by the state of the person to utilize forest resources within the forest lands without any rights of occupations and possessions over the same, to the executions of the others, or establish an wood processing plants or conduct any activities involving the utilizations of any forest resources. 19. License agreement refers to a privilege granted by the state of a person to utilize forest resources within the forest land, with the rest of occupations and possessions, therefore to the exclusions of the others, except the government, but with the corresponding obligations to develop, protect, and rehabilitate the same in accordance with the term of conditions set forth in the said agreement. 20. Mangrove refers to the types of forests occurring on tidal flat along the sea coast, extending along stream, usually with brackish water. 21. Marine park refers to any public shores area delineated for outdoor recreations, sport fishing, water skiing, and related healthful activity. 22. Mineral lands refers to those lands of the public domain which have been classified as such as the DNR Secretary in accordance with the prescribed and approved criteria, guidelines, and procedure. 23. The multiple use is the harmonized utilizations of the land, soil, water, wildfire, recreation value, grass, and timber of forest lands. 24. National parks refers to the forest lands reservations essentially of primitive or wilderness timber which has been withdrawn from settlements or occupancy and set aside as such exclusively to preserve the scenery, the natural and historical objects, and the wild animals or plants therein, and to provide enjoyments of these features in such a manner as well leave them unprepared for following generations. 25. Permanent forests or forest reserves. Refers to, refers to those lands of the public domain which have been the subjects or present systems or classifications and declared as not needed for forest purposes. 16. Pinet. A short-time privilege or authority granted by the site to a person to utilize any limited forest resources or undertake a limited activity within the forest land without any rights of occupations and possessions therein. 27. Pine forest. A type of forest predominantly or pine trees. 28. Private rights. Refers to the title rights of ownership under existing laws, and in the case of motions to rights of possessions existing of this time, a license is granted under this code, which possessions may include places or above and worship, burial grounds, and the old cleaners, but includes productive forest inclusives or log over arcas commercial forests and established plantations of the forest trees of economic values. 29. 29. Processing plants. Any mechanical stop device, machine, or combinations of machines used for the conversions or logs and other timber products into lumber, veneer, plywood, fiber boards, blackboards, paper boards, pulp and paper, or other finished wood products. 30. Public forest refers to the use of lands of the public domain which has not been subject to the present systems of classifications for the determinations of which lands are needed for forest purposes and which are not. 31. Rationalization is the organizations of the business or industry using management principles, system, and procedures to attain stability, efficiency, and profitability options. 32. Seashores refers to any public shores area delimited for outdoor recreation, sport fishing, water skiing, and other related healthful activities. 33. Skid tree systems refers to the silvicultural system characterized by partial clear-cutting, leaving seeds trees to generate in the area. 34. Selective logging is the systematic removal of the mature, overmature, and defective trees in such a manner as to leave a depth number and volume of healthy residual trees of the desired species, necessary to ensure future crops of timber and forest cover for the protections and conservations of soil, water, and wildlife. 35. Silviculture. 35. Silviculture. The establishment, development, productions, and care of forest trees. 36. Sustained management. This implies continuous and periodic productions of forest products in a working units for the purpose of achieving at the various practicable time and appropriate balance between growth and harvest or use. 37. Tree form refers to a small forest lands or trees or land purposely planted to tree crops. Watershed is the land area drains by a stream or fixed body of water and its tributaries having a common outlet for surface runoff. 39. Watershed reservations is a forest land reservation established to protect or improve the conditions of water, therefore or reduce sedimentation.